Morning, everyone. This is a summary of the top 13 questions you may face before you start set up a smart home. So it's an experience compilation, more of facts and figure sharing. We cover the perspective first. What are the end benefit you would expect from a smart home? Generally, it's giving you peace of mind when you're away from home. It helps you force the robot to automatic work. At night, you come home where it's warm and well light. In a smart home, help me to save energy costs. Generally, smart home help you to repeat all the repetitive job for you without you touching anything. For energy saving, it really depends. If you have high power consumption devices that are smart, like thermostat, air conditioning, these are the things that would see more significant cost saving. For just smart lighting, fans, these are things that won't save you much dollars. Can I control my smart home remotely? Yes, generally you can control your smart home remotely, and you would mainly do it for CCTV. For other stuff, it might be more of practical questions to ask yourself. How frequent would you do so? So kind of an example is you commute, you return home, and then you would take your phone out of your pocket, you unlock it, open the app, you scroll through to find the right button to click on, then you turn on the light, or you open the door for yourself to enter the house. So on this part, basically I have stopped using such a manner since I have first installed from 10 years ago. So over time you realize that timer, scheduler is more practical to use. Is smart home secure? There's no perfect secure system for anything, even computer and so forth. However, there are a few precautions you should practice to minimize user exposed risk. You can have a complex password, or you have two-factor sign in so that it helps you to prevent unauthorized access. Avoid sharing location. People see where you are, they see you're not home, they try to hack in your house. Keep the house entry gateway, such as the gate, the main door, uh, outside or away from the integrated smart home system. Make it standalone or is not smart to start with. What are the key consideration? First, you have to set your end goal or vision of your smart home that you want, say 5 years later, all the things that should be inside. What's the budget you have today to start? Then from there, you can start to plan and look into device type, the connectivity itself, the cost, the brand, and also the integration of all these devices, especially you have multi-brand. Now we go into device topic. What are the types of smart home gadget or device is outside the market? One, CCTV. Two, sensor. There's different types. Three, switches. Particularly these are light or fan switches. Door lock. That is quite different in terms of all the things that they can use to interact with it. Remote button. These normally are wireless button of same brand of your switches and sensors. Others such as vacuum robot, washing machine, and so on. Why are some devices having a Wi-Fi or ZigBee or Z-Wave option? Should I actually care? So overall, if you're buying a CCTV, generally is Wi-Fi only. Door lock, they have different way of accessing it. Connecting to Wi-Fi not so common because Wi-Fi do consume more battery itself. So door lock battery generally once a year you need to change, even the non-Wi-Fi module. Sensor and switches is where you see more often you have a choice of Wi-Fi or Z-Wave or ZigBee. As a quick comparison, Wi-Fi version, You may need a better Wi-Fi router, especially if you have a lot. I have about 20 plus, so sometimes you do see it disconnected, but it will reconnect sometimes after. For the wall switches type, a Wi-Fi version you need to install additional 1 little fuse in the first gang light. So let's say your first gang is to control downlight A, so you have to add additional fuse on the downlight A, right? There is a note normally on the menu to tell you this smart switch may not work with TA. Okay. Battery-based Wi-Fi gadget also need to be careful. Example is no power source, a battery-based one, a sensor. It may consume faster if you just have it on a Wi-Fi connection. Thus, in a way that I do see ZWave and ZWave devices are having more advantage, but you do need to have a hub for any ZWave and ZB devices. Now, this is go by brand. So, example, if you have Akara and you have Tuya, you actually need two hubs. So that's something you need to be cautious about. They don't work across brand. They have a good benefit in long battery life. Xiaomi sensor I'm using on ZigBee is actually more than 10 years. The lowest battery is still 27%. The rest remain around 50% battery. Wall switches, no need to install additional fuse. So if I were to re-choose my setup again, a ZigBee or Z-Wave method will be the way I do it for my setup, especially due to the wall switches control. How much will it cost to start my smart home? Depends on your budget and end goal. So we don't have all the money in the world. So first, after you list down all your feature, you try to check which are brands that have almost all the things you want to do, and try to minimize the brand you need to buy. So especially the brand or the items that you want to do automation. So for example, detect motion, turn on light. So these two items should be from the same brand to avoid any automation compatibility issue. Some starting idea. Xiaomi smart home set is good to start. It gives you a hub, a motion sensor, a door open close sensor, good enough for you to know if anyone break into your house, provided you don't have a pet in the house. A color light switch, about 120 for a 3-gang switch. Now this need a hub to work with it. EV-Link, a CCTV that costs you around 130. These are the simple ones that will get you to start somewhere. Is there a maintenance fee? Now, this is an important topic because some of the brands, especially the more expensive brand, you will notice that they actually have a subscription fee. Generally, these fees are for cloud services where you can access your video feed online and so on. There is a device failure replacement cost. Uh, for wall switches, I noticed that you may need to replace it around 5 to 10 years. It differs by brands, but these are for a brand I tested. Battery replacement cost, there is, not too expensive, you can DIY. Smart door lock, use 4AA battery. Generally, it lasts you about 1 year to 1.5 years. ZigBee, Z-Wave devices for now is still running. It's more than 10 years, and as I say, lowest one is still having a 27% battery. Brands. What are the smart home brands with zero subscription fee? Note, there are optional subscriptions service that may be inside the app, but if you don't pay, you still can remotely view your video feeds and so on as far as there's a SD card. These are brands I tested. Xiaomi, they have sensor CCTV, vacuum robot, for example. Tuya, smart light, switch, sensor, power meter. EV-Link Sonoff, they have switches, CCTV. Now, generally, you notice from the sample here that things I use. a brand may not have all the device types. So ideally you use the same brand for those that you wish to automate. So for example, the human detector turns on light. So that are the things that go into your consideration. What are the smart home traps to avoid? There are some that you may want to be cautioned. Xiaomi and Akara in particular, there is China and international variant. So do make sure you get the same variant. So if not, you will end up having devices separated in different region, and you have to go to setting to switch it so that you can see your devices. This will affect notification sending to your phone as well. If you try to pair a device that belong to China, say you are in Singapore, you will notice the device cannot be detected. So that's why you have to try to get the same variant. If you're getting a CCTV of Xiaomi or Akara, you will need to check with the seller to see whether it must set in China. So mine is bought quite some time. All my CCTV need to set in China. If I set other region, cannot work on. Tuya is China variant and Smart Life is international variant. These are app variant. The devices doesn't matter, the device will work, but this is the Tuya brand differentiating international and local market. Evening and Son Off, these are also same app at the back end. The devices work across both as well, so there's no difference. So you don't need to worry about Evening device that doesn't work with your Son Off app. Infrared remote control gadget is a bit less reliable due to the distance and angle of your targeted devices. So this is a no for me. Motion and presence detector automation. Both are different things that you need to know. Motion just detect movement. Presence using a wavelength and algorithm to detect whether there's a human there. So if you want to do a automation when there's human, then you do something, you should use a presence detector version. So motion detector may detect wind, fan, pad, and it can be a reflection of signal from quite far away. Presence detection detect human. This is more accurate. It is usable after some tuning of sensitivity and distance. So it may have a delays up to 30 seconds. You walk past a place, the light might turn on instantly or it turn on about 30 seconds later. Akara and Tuya might be the top two brands to date for a presence detector. So if this is what you want to play with, then you may not be able to avoid from using these two brands. Temperature and humidity detector automation. This kind of may not work well as well. It depends on your placement location. Smart door lock. Make sure there is a manual key. This manual key means there is a key that you can just use to open a door normally, and it should be a replicable type. Some brands have the key in a unique shape where you cannot just go and replicate the keys. Why? Because I have experienced a lock actually totally not responding to any method, talking about pin, fingerprint, everything also not responsive. So I have to use a key to manually open a door. There's accidentally locked behind or from the inner side of the lock, the indoor one. You can actually manually off it. So all the pin and everything won't work, but manual key will still work. So this is important. Can all the smart home system be integrated? There are three smart home ecosystem contexts here that you need to differentiate. The smart home own brand system, which means that Akara and Akara app. So everything you have on Akara, it will be connected. So if automation on all the single brand only stuff, it works. You don't even need other things. Now, if you have multiple brand, then you end up to talk about home integration system. In this case, you have an option like Alexa, HomeKit, Home Assistant. This require a hub that is 24/7 turned on with power. There are also cloud solutions like Google Home, Google Smart, Samsung Smart Thing. This doesn't need a device and is free to use. Right now, the smart home integration system, you need to know that this tool is for you to combine all the different brands like Tuya, Akara, Xiaomi, everything in one place. There is a big but. It may not support all brands. It may not support all the devices type that you actually have in the individual brand app. The automation may not be cross brand as well. So means that if your sensor is Tuya, you want to turn on the light on Akara, this type of hub may or may not work. There are third-party accessories that like flick button. So things like third party here is subject to more question mark unless you see documentation of them say it works. If not, these are things to avoid. If the remote switch button is from same brand, then no issue. So ideally, single brand for all the things. That's great. What's the integration expectation? So these are the brand I mentioned earlier on. So if you're doing integration, Home Assistant is the one that with more community support and integration that is done. You can typically combine for other brand with different difficulties. Xiaomi CCTV, there are some claim it can do, but it is impossible for me. I have three model of CCTV from Xiaomi, all fail to be connected. Google Home, Samsung Smart Thing, this is better than Home Assistant from the aspect of you just log in, everything can sync, it will be synced. Now, this type of solution normally is for switches, so you can see that from this list here, Xiaomi stuff is all not detected. Tuya, Smart Life, the switch is just instant, it detect. Sensor is for temperature and humidity, instant detect. Power meter cannot detect. For EV Link itself is easy, it's straight on detect, but CCTV is not detected. So you will notice for this integration hub, the one that need you to do less work is generally will prioritize switch detection, and the function is more of on off and scheduling function that you can manage.